had a request to add public comment to the meeting agenda for today, so we did add a section for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the Board of Education will be recognized by the Board President. Speakers are requested to identify themselves and their topic, and comments are limited to 3 minutes. Due to time constraints today, we cannot pass our time to somebody else. We do need to stay with that 3-minute time constraint. So anybody wishing to address the board today?
Yes, I will. So my name is Tim Hickey. Actually, I'm going to touch on 3 quick topics. The first one is going to be the Auburn School. I understand that. That is part of your agenda, is supposed to be today to discuss the letter to the Auburn schools. So just this morning while I was over at 1922 Coffee and Brew having a coffee, ran into a young lady from the Chardon School District who said her father owns the barbershop over there. Her mother is a beautician. She has cosmetology in her blood. She said she's now waiting for next week to find out if her lottery number is called into that system. So potentially somebody who doesn't even want to be there could take the place of somebody who has it in the bloodline. Now, equity and equality are obviously 2 very, very different terms, and nobody has a problem with equality. They already have equality over there. Everybody has the same opportunity to apply to that school. What they've done over there is gotten rid of the interview process, and they've gone to a random selection to fill these seats. And what that does for the Riverside school boards is it is excluding your most qualified candidates, potentially excluding them if they are not selected. It's probably one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard of as an employer in Lake County. It is telling me that I don't need resumes, I don't need interviews, I just should put out an application and randomly select who is doing that. And I'll be very clear, the original complaint came from Harvey with their 46% graduation rate. So very qualified students from your school are getting overlooked into that system over there. Second quick topic I want to cover is the fights at your school. Holy cow. Like, my kid is getting videos from kids at your school. I talked to a very high up lieutenant in the sheriff's department who told me your SRO's hands are tied. Teachers can't intervene. What is going on here? What are you guys doing to address that? And then the third quick topic I want to talk about is, how about them gas prices, guys? Whew, they're going to keep going up. How do you think that affects your levy and the construction process on that levy? Now, I've heard you guys tell me that you hired a consultant to put out a report in January. Did he factor in the gas prices? No. Are you going to give both sides of the story or virtue signal and play a victim to distract? Because I saw it on Facebook. I won't identify anybody, but it was directed towards me and another person here. And it has nothing to do with it. It has no place. Playing the victim has no place. All we want is for your entire community to be able to hear both sides and why there's an opposition, instead of members of the board just promoting it. Basically what it seems like is so that you have some sort of legacy. Hey, we passed this school levy, look at this. It's something that you need to be aware of and address and give both sides of the story, because you're putting a levy up for everybody in this community, not just the people who you want to rally around it. So that is my time, and I hope you guys take that into consideration.
Thank you. Any other?
Yeah, hi, Ed Jones. I'd like to read you a letter real quick. Written to the Auburn Career Center Board of Directors. Dear board members, Madison local schools recently learned of a change to the admission process for students to be accepted into Auburn Career Center's various career technical education programs. Madison, being a participating district, did not receive written information about the new process until February 24th of this year, when we requested it. We understand that the ultimate authority on the admission criterion process rests with your board. However, a more open and collaborative process would have been appropriate and appreciated. The information we received from your district states that Auburn's only admission criteria are that students meet minimum course prerequisites and live in a participating district. A quote, randomized selection process, unquote, is then implemented to determine entry into Auburn's more competitive programs, replacing time-tested and industry-recognized merit-based criteria such as GPA, interviews, recommendations, essays, attendance, etc. This, most assuredly, will result in less qualified candidates being accepted in place of more qualified candidates, all in the name of equity. While we believe equality of opportunity should be provided to all applicants, processes leading to equity of outcomes are discriminatory and teach our students that studying, having good attendance, interviewing skills, etc. are meaningless as accomplishments, qualifications, and suitability aren't considered. We object to the new admission process and are asking for a more collaborative process where input can be provided by the various participating districts, Riverside of course being one. We understand that this decision may have been, in part or in whole, based on input from the Ohio Department of Education. Please provide our superintendent with any documents or emails sent to Auburn employees or officials regarding admission criteria from the ODE so we can understand their input. Thank you for receiving this letter and considering the request. Please contact me with any questions. Respectfully, Sean Douglas, President of the Madison Board of Education. So I know that's on the agenda for today for you guys to talk about. Just wondering where you guys are gonna come down on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else here?
My name is Al Adams. The first thing I want to do is thank you guys for answering all the questions I had at the last meeting via email, like you said you would. I really appreciate it. I still stand by, and I don't understand it. I was looking at it this morning. The website posts on your website mirror your Facebook page, except for when board meetings are. I don't understand why you wouldn't use that media to also let people know when the board meetings are. The worst case scenario is you have more participation than the same 6 guys you see at every meeting, right? The other thing is, the numbers you answered my question on, there was a roughly a little over 9% increase for the levy to get to the 147. And I just want to go back to, there's a 22% overage right now in real time, 1.9 million over budget in Concord for a fire station for the levy they just passed. So they're probably not going to be able to do 2 fire stations like they wanted to. The only response to this that we got from any of the 3 that voted for it was, Ms. Grassi, you said in the one meeting you had looked into it and that you could hold on to the money for quite a long time if you weren't able to build. That's a terrible idea. If you're going to tax us and take our money, build something, put a shut up in the back, I don't care, but you can't just tax people and then hold on to the money because it didn't fit the bill. And then the last thing, which I've done a lot of research on, is the Auburn admission. In my free time, I read the 1979 Civil Rights Vocational School Act that they referenced in their letter. They cherry-picked half, it was 2 sentences, and they said that attendance, disciplinary action, GPA, referrals, interviews can all disproportionately place kids. After that, it says, unless you can prove that these things are important criteria for admission into the school, which I think at a tech center we can all agree, they're going there, they're learning the interview process to leave. They have something they grade on there called employability, where they grade attendance at a high rate, and if you don't attend that school, they won't move you along. So why would they just take all these out and not want to use those as criteria to get into the school? Because even Amazon's not picking names out of a hat to give somebody a job, right? It's just not happening. The best of my knowledge, their school board didn't know that Dr. Bontempo made this change. None of the 10 district school boards knew about the change. And that in and of itself is against Ohio Revised Code that says if you change an admission policy, you have to notify all the 10 school boards and the superintendents, in this case 10, the schools that feed that school. And he didn't do any of this. He made a unilateral move. Madison, the president of the Madison School Board, came to the Auburn School Board meeting. Chardon School Board came to the meeting. There's another meeting April 5th. I know it's on the agenda, I just, giving you all the information I have. This Dr. Bontempo changed things.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, Josh Pollock. I have 2 students in the school here and wanted to comment also on the fights. There is a fight page. I don't know if you guys are aware of it. And knowing that we have resource deputies, I know that now you guys are wanting as many as you can get rather than actually doing discipline. I know when I went through the school system, if you got in a fight, you got expelled. And, or excuse me, suspended, and if you got in many fights, then you'd have to find a new school to go to. I don't understand why we're holding the hand of troublemakers and giving them every option to continue to disrupt people that are here to learn. And this has happened right on down from when my one daughter was in elementary school at Hale Road, when she brought a kitten book to school, and a kid who was a troublemaker in that classroom told her that he was gonna kill her if she brought that book to school again. My daughter was a fantastic student, was excited to go to school. She was super excited to learn and was terrified to go to school. After meeting with the principal, all I did here for an hour was excuses for the one kid that was there to cause trouble, rather than trying to accommodate all the students that were there to learn. Well, I feel like we're still doing this, and whoever your representation is for lawyers needs to get fired because they're not following the law. This is ridiculous. I don't understand why we're asking for additional resource officers when we could take the troublemakers and teach them over at the field house. Keep them in one room. If you gotta go to the bathroom, we're gonna walk there with you to the bathroom. We will cause you to behave and follow the rules that this school has, which leads into additional things. When I was at the last meeting, I can't remember your name, ma'am, but
Cheryl.
Nice to know, sorry. You had talked about mental health issues. Well, both my daughters are very well educated and read, and both dealt with mental health issues when this pandemic came along. Well, this kind of goes right to what you were talking about. I find out at the last meeting that we're gonna have critical race theory in our school, and I'm not happy to hear that because that just further divides our student base. We've never had an issue with race in this district, and I'm trying to figure out why we would take my tax dollars, not let me know as a taxpayer what you're doing with my money. And to your point about having the exposure to when these meetings are, I didn't find out about this meeting till late last night and made arrangements to get here today. I think I should be getting emails or something to the community so we can all be a part of this. This is our dollars that you're spending, and you've had free reign for a decade without anybody coming in your way. I know I came to meetings when Common Core was brought to this, which, look at where we're at. 10 years later, we're in a heap of mess right now because we wanted to try and remove the parents from decision making and parent raising, rather leave it up to the school. Well, you're not doing a good job by going that route because we got troublemakers getting away with it.
Any other additional comments? Yes.
Hi, I'm Chris Weiss. I also support, with regard to this Auburn Career Center thing, sending a strongly worded letter to the Auburn Career Center Board of Education about supporting the merit process in favor of the equity that Dr. Bontempo did. I would also like to ask that you call for Dr. Bontempo to either be disciplined or his resignation asked for or outright fired, because he clearly violated his own policies without even notifying the board. And in the businesses that I used to run, that's an offense that you should get fired for. Second item I want to talk about is school discipline and the fights, okay? I'm not going to reiterate what these guys said, but one of the things that is not going on here is the teachers are not getting the support of the administration when it comes to the students getting out of line, wherever that may be, whether it's in the bathroom, whether it's in the classroom, or whatever. The teachers tell me that they have to send the student to go see their respective principal, and that's supposed to be dealt with. Half the time these students come trouncing back into class with a pass saying it's done. The teacher says, hey, you're out of here for the rest of the class, and the student ignores them. Students are barricading the entrance to the bathrooms when there are fights to prevent faculty from getting in there, okay? These things need to be dealt with. And one thing I want to bring back up is the dress code. The dress code is atrocious, even in the winter time, okay? Not just the girls, but the boys too. Okay, you have a stated dress code policy and you're not enforcing it, okay? One of the key cornerstones of discipline, good order and discipline, is how do we represent ourselves when we come to work, okay? In the military, everybody has to wear a uniform. They gotta have their hair cut. They aren't allowed to have tattoos that show, and on and on and on, okay? You have a dress code. I was told last fall, Jennifer Harden told me that this was under some kind of legal review. I don't understand why it needs to be under legal review. It's printed. There was a dress code when I went here 40 years ago, and it's a reasonable one, okay? If the students can't dress appropriately, then have some gym clothes, t-shirts, and gym shorts, and have them put those on. and go the rest of the day. Make them orange for that matter. We put orange plates on people that get a DUI, why not have the kids wear orange clothes when they don't conform to the dress code, okay? That shouldn't be a problem. The last thing is the school levy, okay? Talked with the Board of Elections. This school levy can be removed from the ballot up until when they finalize the ballot sometime in mid-March, so you got about a week. I'm gonna ask you guys, okay, please, we are staring potentially World War III in the face, okay? Gasoline prices have doubled. I'm in the construction industry, okay? There are many instances in many different areas of construction. We cannot even order materials even if we pay for them now, and it'll be a year until we get them,
Thank you.
okay? There's no way
I'm sorry,
you
Chris,
can
time
succeed
is
at
up.
what you're
Mr. Weiss,
doing.
time is up, so thank you. Any other public comment?
Do I give you my time?
No, we can't transfer time today.
Okay. My name's Ken Frank. I agree on the levy, okay? I am also in construction. Relative of mine is in construction, heavier than I am. Not even bidding work right now because of the fact they can't get materials to the end of the year. Prices, who knows what. We have the government saying we have a 7% inflation, but they don't count food or fuel, and fuel is almost doubled. So when you look at that, we're probably talking 12–15%. Even if a building was desperately needed, now is not the time to take on that kind of undertaking with material costs, material shortages, and not knowing what it's going to cost. Concord residents have just gotten burdened with the new fire station on top of the fuel and the inflation. I think this board needs to really reconsider if their timing is right on this. What I read says it goes back to a 2014 study. That is last administration, better economy, pre-pandemic, pre-war, pre-inflation. This board really needs to do its job and consider the effect of its taxpayers on that. And I agree with him, if you've got time to pull it off of the board, it's gonna save everybody a lot of time and effort. Look at Chardon 2 years ago, they had a major issue to try and pass a levy, it went down. I do give Chardon School Board a lot more respect than I give this board, because when the taxpayers of Chardon said, no, we do not want this school, they didn't come back the next election and try and sneak it through again. They accepted what the people had to say. They said no, it's no for now, we'll discuss it at another time. If you have time to remove it, it's gonna save everybody the time and effort of defeating it, because it is just, I can't even say an ignorant time to do it. I gotta go a step further and say it's just plain stupid to put that on at this time.
Thank you. Any other comments?